For about 20 years, the United States government ran experiments on its own citizens to find out whether a human mind could be taken apart and rebuilt. Most of the people in the room never agreed to it. Some never knew it happened at all. And here's the part that should bother you the most. Almost everything we know about it survived by accident, because one box of paperwork was filed in the wrong room. This isn't a rumor. It isn't a theory you have to take on faith. It has a name, MKUltra. It has a case file, a budget, a director, and a stack of congressional testimony with the CIA's own people under oath. So the question of this video is not, did it happen? It happened. The government has admitted it happened. The question is how far it went, and why, to this day, no one can fully answer that. Because the evidence wasn't lost. It was destroyed, deliberately. And to understand why someone would burn 20 years of records, you have to start with what they were so afraid of. The early 1950s, the Cold War, and a brand new fear that the other side had figured out something the United States hadn't. During the Korean War, American prisoners began appearing on camera, denouncing their own country, confessing to things they hadn't done, reciting enemy talking points in a flat, faraway voice. To the public, there was only one explanation that made sense. The communists had learned how to reach inside a person and rewrite them. There was even a new word for it, a word invented in 1950 to describe exactly this: brainwashing. We now know the fear was mostly exaggerated, but fear doesn't need to be accurate to be powerful. In April of 1953, the director of the CIA authorized a program to catch up, and if possible, to get ahead. To run it, they chose a chemist, and the mandate was simple and enormous: find out if the human mind can be controlled. The program's name was MKUltra. MKUltra was not one experiment. It was an umbrella. Around 150 separate subprojects running at once. And it didn't happen in a secret bunker. It happened in plain sight, in more than 80 institutions, universities, hospitals, prisons, pharmacies. The money was usually routed through front organizations, so that the scientists doing the work, and the people they were working on, often had no idea the CIA was the one signing the checks, and the tool they became obsessed with was LSD. At one point, the agency tried to corner the world's entire supply of it, because they wanted to know what it did to a person. So first, they tested it on themselves, on agents, on staff who at least knew what was coming. But that wasn't enough for them. They wanted to know what the drug did to someone who had no idea they had taken anything at all. So they rented apartments, safehouses, in San Francisco and New York, and they dosed unsuspecting people, then watched, from behind a one-way mirror, to see what would happen to a human being who didn't know the floor had just dropped out from under their own perception. It had a code name inside the agency. On screen, it sounds almost like a joke. The reality of it was not, and it marks the exact moment a national defense project quietly became something else. Experiments on ordinary citizens who never said yes. There was no consent. In most cases, there were no medical records, and no one ever followed up to see if the people they had dosed were all right afterward. They were data points, and then they were forgotten. But one name did not get forgotten, because of how the story ended. In late 1953, a group of government scientists were at a work retreat. One of them, an army biochemist, was given a drink that had been secretly dosed with LSD. He was not told. In the days that followed, he became deeply distressed, withdrawn, unwell. A week later, he was in a New York hotel room, and he went out a high window, and he died. At the time, it was ruled a suicide. His family was told almost nothing for more than 20 years. It wasn't until the mid-1970s, when government investigations finally cracked MKUltra open, that the truth reached them. He had been part of a secret experiment. The government acknowledged it. The president apologized to the family in person. A settlement followed, and decades later, when forensic experts re-examined the case, they raised questions the original ruling couldn't answer. Questions that, to this day, have never been fully resolved. What actually happened in that room is still, officially, unknown. Hold on to that phrase. We don't know, because in about 90 seconds it stops being one detail, and it becomes the entire story. 1973. Washington is coming apart at the seams. Watergate is everywhere. Investigators are starting to ask hard questions about what the intelligence agencies have been doing in the dark, and so the director of the CIA gives an order. Destroy the MKUltra files. All of them. And they did. 20 years of subprojects, the methods, the results, the names, gone. By design. Turned into the kind of nothing you can't subpoena. It should have been the perfect ending. The program would simply vanish from history, as if it had never happened at all. Quick, honest thing. If you believe a story someone tried this hard to erase is exactly the kind of story more people should actually see, tapping the like button genuinely helps this survive the algorithm. That's it. Because here is the one thing they did not count on. In 1977, a researcher filed a Freedom of Information request, and it turned up around 20,000 pages of MKUltra documents that no one was supposed to find. They had survived the purge for one absurd reason. They'd been stored in the wrong building, filed with the financial paperwork in a separate record center, far from the order to burn everything. But look closely at what survived. It wasn't the research. It wasn't the findings, or the methods, or the list of who they did this to. What survived were the receipts, expense reports, budgets, the accounting. We didn't recover the experiment. We recovered the invoice for it. Those 20,000 pages were enough. They forced open Senate hearings in 1977. The director of the CIA testified. The country finally learned the name MKUltra and roughly what it had been. But the receipts can only tell you so much. We can see that money was spent. We can see which universities took it, which hospitals, which cities. We can trace the shape of the thing from the outside. We cannot see what was actually done, or what was found, or to whom. Because those are the records that burned. We do not have a complete list of the people who were used. We don't know how many ordinary men and women walked into a doctor's office, or a hospital ward, or rented a room from a stranger, and became part of an experiment they never agreed to, and never found out about for the rest of their lives. That number isn't classified. It simply doesn't exist anymore. So this is where MKUltra leaves us, not with a question of whether it was real. It was. It's documented. It's on the congressional record, but with a question of how much, and that answer was deliberately turned to ash before anyone was allowed to ask. Everything we know about the time the United States tried to learn how to control the human mind survived by mistake, in a box, in the wrong room, which leaves only one question worth sitting with. If that's what they kept by accident, what did they mean to destroy?